The Jordan River spans roughly 50 miles, flowing north from Utah Lake to the Great Salt Lake, servicing the 1.5 million residents of the Salt Lake City metro. Due to its location, it offers nearby fishing, biking, and hiking access to most residents of the Salt Lake metro, ranging from Lehigh and Draper to Murray and Salt Lake City. The maximum depth is 17 feet, but the majority of the river will be in the 5 to 10 foot range, heavily dependent on the time of year. With the river being in such a prime location, you would expect it to be a key feature for escaping the city and urban environment. However, over the past 2 decades, the river's reputation has grown as being dangerous and polluted, becoming an ecological and urban eyesore. A chaotic combination of industrial runoff, low water levels, displaced homeless encampments, and multiple deceased bodies found in the river has turned it into a public health crisis instead of a tranquil escape from city life. So who is to blame, and is it too far gone to save? That is the question I aim to answer in this video. First, let's review the ecosystem and the potential the Jordan River has. The Jordan River is home to many fish species, most being non-native. The native species include the Utah sucker, red-side shiner, speckled dace, Utah chub, and the rare Bonneville cutthroat trout, whose population has been decimated from overfishing and the introduction of non-native fish. The common non-native species include rainbow trout, which are stocked by the Utah Department of Wildlife, brown trout, common carp, goldfish, black bullhead, channel catfish, which are also stocked by the Department of Wildlife, as well as white bass, sunfish, bluegill, crappie, bass, perch, and walleye. Per the Jordan River Commission, carp are the largest fish by mass within the river and the most invasive species due to their feeding and spawning habits, which dramatically increase the water turbidity, which is the measure of the water's cloudiness. The river is also home to many mammals, such as beavers, skunks, foxes, coyotes, and muskrats, which I can personally attest to seeing many muskrats on the north end of the river while fishing at dusk. This abundance of wildlife trails should lead to opportune fishing and sightseeing opportunities, but many residents elect to fight traffic and potentially pay entrance fees to enter one of the many canyons to the east of Salt Lake, citing safety concerns. It does not help that the Utah Department of Wildlife has put out a notice warning fishers to not consume fish out of the Jordan River due to the water being highly polluted, with traces of both arsenic and lead being found in the river. The north end of the Jordan River has also become a popular spot for homeless individuals seeking shelter. Per the annual 2025 point-in-time count, there were over 4,500 individuals in Utah facing homelessness each night, an 18% increase year over year. In most cases, these individuals are simply trying to survive peacefully, and I can personally attest to not facing many issues when I fish there. However, the existence of encampments and trash being thrown into the river, with hygiene products and needles in public spaces, is enough reason for most people to avoid the area altogether, especially if they are alone or with kids. So how did it get this way? First, let's address the pollution. Being dead center in a metro of over 1 million people, the narrow river already faces massive challenges. Since the settlement of the Salt Lake Valley in 1847, the Jordan River has been a repository for waste. First, being agriculture runoff from crops and animal waste that led to large amounts of nitrogen in the river. Then mining runoff from digging and smelters, which caused arsenic and lead to contaminate the river. On top of this, the river was used as a drainage for raw and untreated sewage for nearly 100 years. This combination, on top of overfishing, led to the near extinction of the rare Bonneville cutthroat trout. To think less than 200 years ago the water was pristine and filled with life can be depressing, but where expansion and progress go, destruction will follow. There are much stricter controls and policies around mining and sewage runoff now, but the damage done will take much more time and resources to resolve. The Kennecott Copper Mine, which is the world's largest man-made open pit mine, is just miles away from the river. This copper mine has been linked to many environmental issues, such as air pollution causing respiratory issues and groundwater contamination. The company has spent over $400 million since the 1990s for cleanup projects to avoid potential financial and legal repercussions, and at the current state are EPA compliant with pathogen and pollution levels. Both local lobbying and stricter state and federal pollution guidelines are just one piece of saving this river. The next aspect, which may be more difficult to fix, is the safety of the trails and parks surrounding the river, or you could say the general public's perception of their safety when visiting. First, I'll go over my own personal experience and viewpoint, having fished and walked the trails many times. Also, to take into account, I am a male, in my 20s, hefty size, and typically carrying pepper spray. On the south end, near Utah Lake, I've always felt safe and see many families out, no issues here. On the north end, especially from Meadowbrook to Rose Park, I would say it is generally safe, but can be sketchy at times. And by sketchy, I mean seeing large encampments or open needles, potential individuals causing disturbances. You get the point. I would not feel comfortable taking kids under most circumstances to this section. Additionally, the trash in the water and unkept public areas really stand out in this stretch of the river. This area, especially around Utah Fair Park and Cottonwood Park, is heavily patrolled by the police, with police regularly forcing encampments to move, with most individuals moving a couple hundred yards to be left alone, just far enough to be out of the general public sight if someone was driving or on the tracks. This solution hasn't fixed anyone's problem, but simply moves it out of view for 99% of people. Until enough shelters are built in the Salt Lake Metro, this is a zero-sum game. The homeless will be dislocated if close to public view or construction, the area will be unsafe or not suitable for most individuals, and the ecosystem in the northern section of the river will continue to face littering. On top of this, the multiple bodies found in or near the river in the last 2 decades only darkens the public's perception of the river. However, there is hope. On September 3rd of 2025, Salt Lake City announced the site and plans for a 1,300 person capacity homeless campus, which would not only house but also assist in addiction, recovery, and employment to produce positive long-term results. Local organizations such as the Jordan River Commission also perform frequent volunteer cleanups and rehabilitation efforts to improve the quality of the water. These bright spots demonstrate that with time, the Jordan River can become a highlight for Salt Lake. Another potential win for the river would be the $3.5 billion Power District project, which is planning to build a baseball stadium and boardwalk right on the Jordan River next to the Utah State Fair Park. This project would bring in apartments, restaurants, and stores right on the river. This public-private partnership will cause more construction around the river, but also potentially rehabilitate one of the worst polluted areas of the river. The first major construction project kicked off in October of 2025 with a 10-story, 300,000 square foot campus for Rocky Mountain Power. The mix of government action, private funding, and local grassroots organizations give the Jordan River a fighting chance to return to a pristine urban habitat. My vision for this river and the parkway is opportunity and safety for all who want to use it. I don't think it's realistic at this point for the water quality within a major metro to be safe enough to frequently consume the fish, and that's okay. Any increase of Bonneville cutthroat trout would be astonishing and would require many steps, such as removing the destructive invasive fish, such as carp and goldfish, while creating spawning habitats within the river that would be off limits to fishing. These are lofty goals that will require consistent action for many years, even when progress seems slow. So what can you do? I highly recommend visiting areas of the Jordan River Parkway yourself to fish or bike, and even picking up some trash along your way. If you have an interest, sign up for volunteer projects through the Jordan River Commission or other local organizations, whose link I will leave in the description. Another way is being involved in local elections and contacting city and county representatives to ensure public funding continues going into rehabilitation projects. There are already thousands of local residents who want to see this urban river reach its full potential, so get involved and join that community. Hopefully in a decade, we'll be looking at a much different river and a key amenity to the Salt Lake Metro. I have left links in the description for both sources and potential volunteer pages. Please check them out to learn more. What do you think about the future of the Jordan River in Utah? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I will be releasing video essays similar to this one weekly, highlighting ecological and sustainability issues within America's outdoors. Thanks for watching.